Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
All right, and we'll call to order May 4th, Rockingham School Board meeting. Chris, do you have a flag to throw up, or we just pretend? Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, I can throw a flag up.
It doesn't matter. We can just pretend.
Yeah, it might move things along quicker.
I'll start us up. I pledge allegiance to the flag,
of the United States of America,
to the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm certain to screw up here at some point, so please jump in and correct me.
I'm sure you'll do fine.
Any adjustments to the agenda?
I believe that we do, and Mrs. Bukowski can confirm this. I believe we have an appointment. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Okay. So that's already underneath their appointment, if any. So Karen,
That's
Mrs.
on.
Bukowski will have one. So.
Okay. Any other adjustments?
Are we going to, sorry, did somebody say something?
Go ahead, Jason. Priscilla, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Is there any mention of the expenditure and revenue report? If it's not on there, we need to add it. Yeah, I lost the.
What do you want the agenda?
Yeah, I don't see any finance on there. Wait,
Yeah, some finance questions. I have some finance questions too.
we want to put that in reports?
Yeah, or down under business, whichever.
Let's put it in reports. That seems okay. So we will put it, it'll be 7F.
Okay.
Remind me when we get there.
Okay. What is E? Okay. Okay. I see it. Sorry.
So again, I sent an email to you guys just a little bit ago. I'd like to table the board goals and touch on those separately at another time. They're not completed, from my understanding. I think it would be better for us to do those outside of our regular meetings at this point, and then just go over them quickly during a regular meeting, just because I'm kind of sick of seeing them on there. But if there's no objections to that, could we schedule a separate meeting to go over those? I know,
George,
Priscilla, you said
can I comment on that?
Yeah.
I think we were basically finished with them. We had done it, and you may not have seen my email back to you. I think we'd gone over each one at separate times, one time or another, and they're basically in a good format. I really think that if we were sent the goals as board members, we could review them, and it would only take us about 10 minutes to go over them. I don't think we need a separate meeting. The reason they're on there each time is because Rick felt that, we could look at one each time and do that. So
unless I'm misunderstanding, the last two goals are incomplete. The last thing that I've seen, the last two were not complete.
We did go over those, and we did do stuff for them, I know.
Would you like to be tasked with finding that information?
I'll try to find it for you, yes.
All right, so we can table it for now. Is that what we want to do, and leave it on for next time? I'd really like to do it and just get them off of here so that we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So.
George, this is Laura. I also, I'm having a few, hi there. I'm having a few tech issues here, trying to clean them up, but I also have an appointment. Chris, is this an appropriate time to do that? Not right this second, but at this meeting?
Chris?
Yes, it would be under appointments, if any, number 10 on the agenda.
Perfect. Thank you.
George, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So where are we at with the emails that were coming with as far as maybe a negotiating committee. Are we tabling that at the moment?
Yeah, we're tabling that at the moment.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, so any other adjustments? Do we want to talk about how Rockingham School Board can influence the current education tax system? Do you want to leave that? And is there any comments to be made there? I know, Jason, you had gone to a select board meeting and made some recommendations.
Yeah, are we on still number 3 or are we on 4?
Yeah,
now?
we are. I just didn't know if there was something there, or we could remove it from the agenda, or you want to leave it on there.
I definitely like to keep that on there. I think it's important to. I did go to the select board.
Yeah, we can talk about that when we get there. We can leave it on. I was just looking to see if there's anything else that could be removed.
Sounds good.
Okay. Any other adjustments? All right. So review and approve board minutes for April 20th, 2020.
I had a comment on them.
Go ahead.
On the last meeting, the minutes, 9B, I moved to direct the administration to target a reduction of fiscal 2021 expenditures by 10%. Mr. Pratt then mentioned, it's not on here, he mentioned that he had a plan possibly in place. Is that something that should be added, or is it?
I thought I read that somewhere earlier, but I could be wrong.
I don't know where the minutes are.
I swear I read that just a little while ago. Maybe it's not in that section.
Print them out for me.
It was down toward the end. Yeah, so down 9B, the last comment from Mr. Pratt said that he has already identified some significant savings and is talking with principals about it. We've identified areas, but are not ready to announce them publicly at this time.
Okay. All right. I see that. Thank you. I missed that.
He's okay.
We have a motion to accept the minutes.
I move to accept the minutes of April 20th, 2020, if that is the correct date. I'm a little behind the times.
All in favor, Priscilla?
I haven't been able to bring them up to read them, so I'm going to abstain.
Jason Terry?
Aye.
And that's an aye for me, so minutes have been approved. Any opposed? Should I ask that? Okay, moving on. Communications and public comment. Any of the public have anything they'd like to add?
I don't see anything in the group chat as of right now. If anyone has any questions, I would ask that they put them in there so we can see them.
Chris, my screen keeps changing, so I'm not sure if that's because you pulled off the agenda from the.
Yeah.
Which is okay. I'd rather see everybody up here than that. That's fine.
Yep.
Okay. No public comment. Policies?
None at this time.
Reports. Superintendent, central office staff, district updates.
All right, it's going to take a little bit because there are quite a few. So let me start off by. So, as this afternoon, we had a conference call about the education funding and how COVID is going to affect the education fund. So after all funds are applied, the ed fund for FY21 is still looking at a $90 million shortfall. And without any further additional aid in that, as of right now, we're looking anywhere between, for fiscal year 21-22, it's not next year but the following year, anywhere between a 22 and 23 cent increase. So that's about the short of it right now. The House Committee has developed a draft in regards to budgets for any districts who have not had an approved budget. And so the request the Agency of Education to authorize an amount of the education spending for school districts equal to the education spending amount authorized by the 2020 fiscal year school budget. Or the other option that they're looking at is adopt the fiscal year 2021 budget, provided that if the school board proposed the fiscal year 2021 budget to the voters that was defeated, then the budget adopted by the school board shall be less the amount of the budget that was defeated, or if on or before the effective date of this act, the school board has warned the fiscal year 2021 budget that has not been voted upon, then the budget adopted by the school board shall be equal or less than the amount of the warned budget. So that's, they're looking at that nothing's been passed, nothing's been finalized, but that's pretty much what they're considering right now. As far as the Vermont Superintendents Association, we supported through testimony to the legislation for the 19 districts that have not have an approved budget, that that they grant spending authority FY 2021 equivalent to the FY 2020 approved education spending, plus an inflator of statewide percentage increase during fiscal year 2021 ed spending, and that's to 4% inflator, meaning your budget plus 4%. So that's something that the VSA has been trying to advocate for. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now in the House Education Committee with all the what's revolving around all the 19 school districts that have a budget voted down or a budget not approved yet. So hopefully within the next few weeks, for those districts do not have a budget, we'll find out more on that. As of 4:30, spring sports have been canceled statewide, and that was a press release that was put out by the Vermont Principals Association. With the decision to open up more businesses in Vermont, the health department says we could see an increase of the COVID-19 cases with this adjustment to incremental openings. So we have to be aware of that. We had some OSHA workplace guidance and training that employees who go into the buildings on a regular basis still need to take. It's an online self-paced program, and if not taken, we have to report to the state. But at this point, I feel that we're pretty much anyone who needs to take that quick little webinar has done so. As of right now, the state is still looking at the summer, and they're looking on be able to use the summer to focus and prepare for the fall. The question came about is do we know anything about summer school yet? And that was pretty much the answer that we got, is that as of right now, we're looking at summer to provide focus and prepare for the fall. Ongoing conversations will continue to take place as we move forward towards the summer, and nothing has been finalized. Guidance will be coming out about the rest of the year shortly. I believe the next major announcement from the governor is going to be on May 15th. So that's an important date that everyone should be aware of. Let me just flip back and let some people in.
I mean, it's every day, not 3 days.
Next up is that most of you are aware right now in regards to the reducing costs in the SU, which if the SU reduce their costs, then it does impact the various districts that pay into the SU. As you're all aware now, there were 36 paras that were let go. There were 11 bus drivers that were placed on furlough until the school opens back up. In addition to that, the SU office one of the SU office receptionist positions was cut. The SU data manager position was cut, and reduced 2 SU positions to half-time. So that's pretty much where we are in regards to that. I put a press release out to the paper, and I'm sure we'll have more questions about that. If not in this meeting, the SU meeting as well. in addition to this, those were all kind of updates in regards to the state, and the major one that was made this past week. I wanted to, some of the board members were asking about specific attendance and actual figures by building. So I will get to your buildings. And so Central Elementary School, the average attendance as of 4/30/20 is 87.2%. And let's see. Saxon's River Elementary School as of 4/30, attendance is 92.86%. And let's see, Bellows Falls Middle School average attendance as of 4/30 is 85%. So in regards to the middle school, overall is 85%. Like I said, the fifth grade is at 87%, sixth grade is at 89%, seventh grade is at 84%, eighth grade is at 83%. Central Elementary School, kindergarten is 79.7%. First grade is 84.8. Second grade is 91.5. Third grade is 89.7. Fourth grade is 90%. And for Saxton's River, the overall was 92.86. And kindergarten was at 85.19%. First grade was 90.19%. Second grade was 94.44%. Third grade, 97.04%. And fourth grade is 97.78%. So that's the overall attendance right now that we're seeing for the Rockingham School District. Special education across all grades and districts is an average attendance of 83%. Another question that came up was boards need to know where the actual broadband gaps are occurring, probably in relationship to above. So the technology department has been working with both the Restorative Justice Department and the schools to identify the gaps in connectivity. Of the situations we know about, there seems to be an even spread between the towns. We have approval from that we're using funds from the consolidated federal grants to purchase cellular hotspots. And working with families and local internet services to provide setup connections where available. We got that list finalized, starting to finalize it today, so we know exactly what families we can provide the hotspots for. The purchase order has already been generated, so what we're looking at, we'll be able to move forward and provide hotspots to families, which hotspots means so they can get connectivity, who fall within the major cellular carrier services, giving those students up to 1 gigabyte of daily data to use for distance learning. And that's at no cost to the families. That's through the consolidated federal grants. So that's where we are in regards to students who are without access. How is learning being evaluated? Well, in the throughout the SU, districts has set up a variety of meetings for each team to meet on a regular basis to collaborate and share curriculum. Teams meeting could be administrators and teachers, teachers and teachers, grade level meetings. That's what we talk about when we talk about meetings. The school principals meet at least once a week with each other to ensure equity among schools. Principals also meet online with staff once a week. So the school and the staff is able to collaborate with each other. The district is collaborating horizontally through periodic grade level meetings to share resources, plans, and progress. So there's a lot of ongoing meetings like we're all seeing in regards to distant learning in the current progress we're in. So that's a brief update in regards to where we are with attendance, where we are in regards to providing connectivity for students, and the recent reductions that were made from the SU standpoint. Thank you.
Chris, I have a question, and I see your hand up, Jason. I'll get to you in a second. So the support staff that was let go, was that in preparation for possibly not starting next school year, or or is that assuming that school would start next year as usual?
A little bit of both, really. We took a considerable amount of time going through and looking at what our students are going to need who are on IEPs and 504s, and looked at the amount of paraeducators we have. And once the student services department went through the IEPs and determined what we need to continue to be in compliance with IEPs and 504s, that was the remaining number of paraprofessionals that we kept on. So it wasn't, it was a little bit of both, George, in regards to responding to if school's going to be open or closed. We had to have a number that whether the school was open or closed, that we'd still be able to make sure that we are in compliance with IEPs and 504s.
Okay, so the follow-up question to that would be, if we do open school next year as usual, would some of those folks be hired back?
Yeah, there's a possibility of that. You know, I would like to think so, but I don't want to give anyone any false hope in regards to, you know, what that looks like. I think if we were to look at the big picture, we don't know what it's going to look like. Special ed is a revolving door, and it's, you know, the costs are unpredictable as it is. So with what we're seeing and what we're hearing from the state is that we can anticipate there are going to be learning gaps from the time we've been absent from the actual classrooms. So there is a good possibility that we're going to need paraeducators back. I just don't know at this point how many that would be.
Jason, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. Chris, at the beginning, you said that possibly a 22 to 23 cent increase. What is that dollar wise?
Well, I think the way it's broken down is for every 1 cent, it's like $100,000.
So if your mortgage is $100,000,
yeah, I don't know exactly what it would look out for each individual mortgage. All I know is that in a budget, usually for every $100,000, it represents 1%. So I don't know what that would look like for taxes.
it looks like a lot of money. That's what it looks like.
I think isn't it 23 cents on every 100 or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So I just want to be careful when we say 22, 23 cents. A lot of people are like, not a big deal. But when you actually talk dollars, it really gets people's attention, and that's part of the problem when we go to the town vote day. Everyone votes in every sort of budget there is. You know, they don't know the true cost of that. So I just, you know, for me, you really got to look at that number.
Well, that's a good point, Jason, because it means something different to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, to me, 23 cents is nothing. But when you add in, if you have $100,000 home and you're paying taxes on that, you know, that's my whole point at the very beginning of this thing was, you know, I don't want to talk about impact usage again. You know, I'm going to talk to the town about that. But, you know, my taxes should not be the same as a 12-unit rental across the street from me that cops are there every single weekend. So it's ridiculous. Anyway, moving on. You didn't mention anything about sorry, you did mention fall school and you know, some of the sports programs and band and stuff like that, they start prior to school. So when will we get notice on those things? I know football starts, field hockey starts, everything starts prior to school starting. So band starts prior to school starting. You know, those are all important to a lot of children. So any word on those things that you know of?
No, the states give no indication in regards to, you know, summer programs or what it's going to look like in the fall, whether we're even going to be back in the buildings or not.
Well, I'm sure if it's a sporting event or a band, they can all stand 6 feet apart and still practice. Let's hope, right?
Let's hope. I mean, it's tough because we're a waiting game to see what the state decides in regards to what to continue to open up, what to keep closed. What they've pretty much been saying all along is that, you know, things really can't change too much until they find a cure for this. You know, that's what they were saying today. So, I mean, I don't have any answers. Like I said, I'm in the waiting game, just like everybody else in regards to what does summer learning look like? What are the activities in the summer look like? And what does the fall look like? But it's just too early to tell. And I don't think anyone's ready to give us any solid concrete answers or even try to speculate what it's going to look like.
And then, my last question is, regarding the staff. George had asked the question, but my follow-up question and my point would be, as a business person, so it looks like we cut people that have been with you 3 years or less, basically. So, is that correct? No?
I can tell you it, I'd have to call up my chart, but it spreads more than 3 years, I believe.
Okay. All right. Well, for me personally, I'd hate to see somebody get let go who's doing a really good job and really ambitious, and then you have other people who are just punching the time clock. So back to my original, why I joined this board is we can do better. And, I'm learning unions are tough. I'm learning negotiations are tough, but, you have young, energetic people who are paraprofessionals who would probably do it for free. And because they love children and they want to do this, and yet you have possibly paras or even teachers who just punch the time clock, and we can't let those people go because of seniority and stuff like that, or it takes a long time. So that's my only comment on that. So
yeah, so the seniority list, it's like, based on it is that it ranged from the most recent person of 2/4/20 all the way up to someone who was hired 8/23/17. So yeah, about the last 3 years for the ones who on the list. And seniority lists, these lists, when you're working with unions, it's always difficult because you really don't base it on the individual. You base it on the way CBAs are written based on the year the person was hired. And it's even more open when it comes to support staff. There's really not much more taken into consideration when you look at a large scale of this nature. I talked to the lawyers and said, what's the best way to go about this, equity-wise, because we have a seniority list, and it was pretty much by hire date. And so I understand what you're saying, and I mean, I think we all have felt that frustration over the years. If you've been in education, as long as some of us have, is that you could be letting go of a very good paraprofessional or a teacher, and because where they fall on the seniority list, they're going to go sooner than someone who's been there for a while and may not necessarily be doing, as good of a job.
Right.
But
I can promise you this: if I ever get on some sort of committee or something like that has to do with that, I will fight for doing reviews and treating people differently, and I think we should do that. That's just my opinion. That's how life works.
yeah, no, and with teachers, they do, you look at more of the evaluations that they've had, their attendance, you're able to look at more of that stuff. But with para educators in the current CBA, it's pretty black and white in regards to, they get their year by year as it is. So even though they're part of a union, they have a CBA, it's not as specific as it is with the teachers. And that's something that teacher unions, the National Education Association, they fight pretty hard in regards to how seniority works. So I know that's something that, most administrators would like to see done differently, but at this point with the NEA, that's how it all pans out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Priscilla, very patiently waiting.
Thank you. I've got several things. Let me first comment that the paras that I've ever worked with, they don't just push time clocks. They work really, really hard. And I have not seen one that I ever worked with that wasn't excellent. That said, they are also up for reviews. And if they are, and it's in the CBA, if there is a problem or of any kind, then their seniority is affected and they go on a different place in the RIF status. So that is there and that is possible. I am concerned that we have put 36 paras on a RIF list, and I'm also concerned with the fact that I had to find out by reading the newspaper. As a board member on 3 different boards, to read it in the newspaper was kind of disconcerting to me.
Well, let me just interrupt for a second.
Let me
I
finish.
understand that. No, because I think it's
Hang on,
important.
hang
to
on,
know-
Chris. Hang on, Chris. Go ahead.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
And so going out from that, however, the 36 pairs, which I'm hoping due to the fact that some of those children will need compensatory services in the fall, and those parents have every right to ask for compensatory services, will increase the amount of support those children are going to need based on this emotional trauma that they are experiencing. I would like to know the number of paras in the 3 Rockingham schools that are impacted by this RIF. Go ahead, Chris.
Hang on, I want to jump in for a quick second, Chris. Priscilla, I do see you on the original email from Chris, whether that made it your way or not, before it was in the paper. Just to
No, I got one from David saying that I was left off, so finally.
Okay, well, I see.
Well, Priscilla, you still got it before it went into the paper.
No, I did not. I
It was
got
not-
it on
it was not
Saturday
accidentally.
after I read the paper.
Anyways, so in that case there, I don't think, anyone that, I understand the board needs to know these things, but I think it's more important the people who's going to be affected know it before the board, because if there was ever a leak out anywhere that someone finds out from someone else that they're losing a job, I think that's very unprofessional. I was not going to do that. So I understand that board needs to know, and I did send that out and inadvertently left a few people off, but it was sent back out. But maybe this time or any other time or in the past and in the future, I would never let people know before the people who it's going to be affected.
Okay, however, you haven't answered my question, which was how many paras in each one of our schools are impacted?
I'm looking at it, and I didn't ignore your question. I was in the process of telling you.
Okay,
So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from Central classroom paras. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 from Saxton's River, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8 from the middle school.
16, 18. So we have 20 out of the 36. And you said those are basically classroom paras. Are they on a separate list from the one-on-ones, or on the same list? Everybody on the same one list for paras?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for the information. Appreciate that.
Can I clarify something?
Go ahead, Keith.
Thank you. Yeah, Central has 8 on this list, only one of which is a classroom para. The other 7 are all one-to-one special ed paras. So just thought you should know that.
Thank you, Keith.
Yep.
And Keith, are those paras getting paid out of special ed?
Yep.
Okay.
Jason, go ahead.
I just wanted to, Priscilla, you said that teachers are due for reviews. I haven't seen a review form yet. Do we have one out there that each teacher gets on a yearly basis, a review? Because when I read in the TBA, it's very vague and opaque in how it works.
Teachers are reviewed the first 3 years that they are there. The first 2, definitely with so observations to see whether they've moved to step 2. If they move to step 2, then they have another additional stuff that they have to do under step 2 and under step 3. If there's any reason that a principal decides that they need to be reviewed more frequently than waiting for the 3-year cycle, they can immediately be put down on the step 1 again and have to be reviewed that year. So there is a review process. If the principals follow it carefully, it can take care of any situation that where, there needs to be improvement or where somebody needs to be let go. And it happens throughout their time that they are teaching, the entire time in the district. Paras are also under a different system where anything that the teacher or anyone saw that was a problem, they could be brought up and they would be, it would be discussed and something would be done about it. So, yes.
So I just want to clarify. I want to make sure I heard what you said. You said 3 years they get a review?
They must have 3 observations in the first year that they are teaching in the district. Okay. If in the second year, that can go into the second year as well. If they are approved as far as doing a good job and everything is okay, they move to step 2. Step 2, they do additional paperwork and additional programs to improve their teaching. If the principal at any time feels they should be moved down to step 1, then they would get their 3 reviews that year. That could be every single year the teacher is in the district if that's necessary.
So what about if I'm a teacher and I've been 5 years or 10 years? Do I get a review every year after 3 years?
You can if the principal says that it is necessary and that he feels that you need.
Why would you not want to do a review on an employee every single year to review their performance? If you're a tenure, if you pass your 3 years, you're getting reviews all the time. Every year after that, you just get more and more comfortable. That's my issue. That's my point.
These are formal reviews, okay? This is the formal system.
That's my issue. That's my point.
Every teacher has a principal that can walk into their room and see what's going on in their room at all times. Those are informal.
But do they do that? That's what I want to know.
Hang on, one at a time.
I just want to know if they do that. If they don't do that, we need to.
Yes.
If that principal thinks they need more, they put them on the lower or they put them on a cooperative plan. There are things in the CBA that allow the principals to review all of those people, and it should be happening, yes.
I'm hearing you. I just want to make sure that we are doing that. That's all.
I mean, respond to Jason's question. Yes,
Go ahead,
Jason.
Chris.
The principals all evaluate the teachers. All the teachers are on a cycle, and they are done. They're done every year, and they submit copies of those up to the central office and keep them local and in the buildings. So yes, that's one of the things that is done on a regular basis based on the teacher's cycle. Paras, however, are much different than the teachers.
Perfect. Thank you for answering the question.
Yep.
Chris, there's some comments on the side. Are those visible to everybody, or should we be reading those?
Everyone, if they open up the chat, they should be able to see it.
All right, so I'm just going to buzz through a couple of them. Mrs. Bukowski says most of the BFMS pairs are in self-contained special education classes. Another one, Flo Levin, asks the question, and I'll pause after this. Aren't one-to-one pairs identified on a student service page of IEP, meaning it is a legal obligation to have that one-on-one para?
Mm-hmm. Yes, for the most, yes, anyone who has a one-on-one, it has to be in the student's IEP. It's not tied to a specific individual. So it's not tied to a specific para, but we do.
Okay, so all those kids who needed those will still be provided, I think is the question.
Yes, all the kids who need one-on-ones, whether it's on a 504, IEP, that's still going to be in place. By law, we have to do it, and we still have the resources in the paraeducators and the teachers to do that. So,
and then Mrs. Bukowski also clarifies that we walk through all classrooms on an almost daily basis.
Yeah, and what she's talking about there is the part of the evaluation process. You know, there are walkthroughs and quick check-ins that administrators do with their teachers. So it's a very involved process, and walkthroughs are part of that.
I have a question before we keep going. I see some more stuff popping up. Is that should those be held for public comment, or am I supposed to, address those as they come up? I see questions and comments on the chat. Chris, if you could advise it.
I think they're all fine. What about kids that don't need a one-on-one but extra support? That can be done. We took into consideration that as well. I mean, I feel that based on the data collecting that we did on kids with IEPs and 504s and struggling, that we have the people in place that we can continue to provide all these services to these students. But like I said, with kids being away from the buildings, could this change in the fall? Yeah, yes, it could. And could we need more bodies back? It's possible, but right now, based on our current needs, we still have more than enough paras to support the educational IEPs and 504s that we have. I mean, I think people got to realize too is that, that Wyndham Northeast had the highest amount of paras, one of the highest amount of paras in the state. And I'm not saying that, so we have to take all that into consideration. Yes, I understand that I have 36 para educators not coming back, but we still have an average amount of para educators in our building for an SU this size. Other SUs our size and bigger, they might still have less paras than we do. So, I mean, I just didn't make these cuts based on, pulling names out of a hat and say, we're just going to cut this many. We based it on the information that we got from IEPs and 504s, what we had and what we needed to do to move forward, at the same time cut spending.
Okay, I see one last comment.
George, can I comment?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm, comparing us to other districts doesn't really do anything for me, for the simple reason that an IEP is just what it says, Individualized Education Plan. That means that it supports the student that needs it, and if the student needs more, you give that student more. If not, you give less. Yes, we need to be sure that we are providing the correct number of paras, and maybe we do have places where we could look at that, and maybe there are some students that will be okay with that. But I'm glad to hear, Mr. Pratt, that you are going to take into account where they're at when they come back and look at that, because we may need to rehire those people. So that pleases me very much to hear that. There was something else I was going to say, but I've forgotten at the moment. It went out my head.
And then the one last comment down there, it says, but then it would no longer be one-to-one for the kids that need it. So
the kids who need it, it's written into the IEP, and there's the only ones who can take a one IEP is the IEP team. We based it on the ones that are currently in the IEPs and the 504s. The kids who need it are going to get it.
any other questions for Mr. Pratt? Principals, would like to go first.
I can go.
Very good.
All right. So I'll start out by speaking about our transition to the continuity of learning, which we officially made on April 22nd. And overall, things have gone well. As expected, we encountered a few glitches, but we have resolved most of those. Some of those glitches included some students having trouble finding the login for their classes, the muting, unmuting themselves, some participation concerns. But overall, we have worked our way through those. Jason, in reference to your concern earlier, Mr. Quadro and I do visit the classes when school's in session, but we've also now are popping into classes for a few minutes at a time. We have links to all the Google Classrooms, and I keep track of what classes I stop in and see, and I've been able to see some really neat things happening on the remote learning and the transition that our teachers have made, and I'm very proud of that and very happy to be able to pop into the classes. So our instruction takes place from 8:30 to 10:30, and when I'm not in a meeting, I am popping in to classes here and there, and I know that there's at least 1 or 2 BFMS teachers in attendance tonight who could go ahead and support that.
That's great.
Our guidance and school nurse and homeschool liaisons have been busy helping families who are having social emotional difficulties. Some of our students are having difficulties attending classes, or families that are in need of support for health issues or possibly other needs. Because of now that we're on a set schedule, et cetera, it has been a lot easier to meet with each of our teams on a weekly basis to discuss concerns, certain items of interest that are specific to a grade level. So I meet with 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, all separately, and then my unified arts or specials teachers have a separate meeting as well. We have Friday ulterior meetings by grade level. Each grade level gets together virtually, kind of help us wrap up the week as a group. We make announcements, an activity is done. This last Friday, Mr. Quadro put together a version of bingo where he sent out a Google form during the week and asked the kids to fill it out, listing their favorite food, their most popular pastime, what TV movies do they like, and what room in their house are they spending the most time in. And then we played a virtual game of bingo together. So it's fun, and it's part of the community building and relationship building, which is really important for middle school kids, but is also important for all students at this time. Our AIM program, it's going strong. It meets every day from 2 to 3. They start out with 35 students, and I've been told that the number has grown. We're going to start something as a staff on Thursdays, and we're going to call it a snack and share. The participation will be optional. It's going to be a time where our teachers and staff can kind of get together and share successes from the week, exchange ideas. You know, hey, I did a Kahoot with this class and it went really well. It's the type of conversations that would happen when school's in session, in the teacher's lounge at lunch, maybe after school, maybe in the hallways between classes. So this is going to provide a time for them to kind of get together. It's optional. There's no agenda. It's going to be able to develop organically. And as Mr. Pratt said, our attendance was at 85%. Friday, unfortunately, is the day that we need to discuss because it has the lowest attendance. It could be that classes are not in session, and it's our ulterior meeting and advisory meets, and then it's teacher office hours, but that is something that we need to look at to try and raise our average daily attendance. If I take out the Friday attendance, our average daily attendance jumps up to almost 89%. Meal distribution continues. We are a distribution site, and we average between 170 to 200 meal pickups each time. Mr. Quadro and I have been spending a lot of time in transition meetings for students who have IEPs that are coming to us from Saxton's River, Central, Westminster, and Grafton. Over the past 2 weeks, there's been 10 of those, and there are 3 more scheduled for this week. And we are in the initial planning stages for an end of the year celebratory parade. We're looking at June 16th or 17th. This would be to celebrate the success of the school year. Our theme throughout the pandemic has been, we got this, and we are looking at a parade theme to be, we did this as a community. And then our PTO will be holding their first meeting since February on May 13th at 6 o'clock via Zoom. That concludes my report. I'll take any questions at this time.
Go ahead, Jason.
Karen, I just wanted to say thank you for putting the flags up in front of the middle school, the nice new flags that are there. Those ones that were there were pretty faded for a really long time. And as a homeowner that lives in town, driving by it a lot, seeing it, seeing the nice new ones, makes it look better. So I appreciated the effort on that. Just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead,
Karen,
Priscilla.
Karen, do you know if your people also participated in the parade that started at Westminster and went through Bellows Falls last year? Last year, yeah, last week.
We did not. We did
You did
not.
not. But some of them may have but it wasn't organized. Is that what
To
you're
the
saying?
to the best of my knowledge, none of our teachers or staff participated.
It was an excellent thing. It was great.
I have a question, and I probably should have asked this previously, but those percentage of attendance, what does a typical attendance percentage look like? And then do we have any idea, is it just because kids aren't checking in, or are they connectivity issues? Can you guys speak to that?
I can speak to it on my end. We usually average around 94%, so we're down a little bit, but that is only based on 6 days of school, 7 school days, that 85%. So it's really hard to say how accurate it'll be. As we continue to monitor it, we'll get a better idea of our attendance. As Mr. Pratt mentioned in his report, some of our special ed students are having more difficulty engaging in the online or remote learning. So that's something we're looking at as well. I meet with my guidance counselors and the homeschool liaisons, school nurse, et cetera, every other week, where we discuss a variety of student concerns and student absences. So we are down a little bit, definitely. And we need to, as I said, speak as a staff on what we can do to increase our Friday attendance. And right now, to the best of my knowledge, I have 3 families that may be struggling with connectivity issues. But Ricky Adams told me that we just got in some of the new hotspots, so we'll be able to help those families with that.
And what have those folks been doing thus far?
Some of them have been very resourceful, and their families are taking them to relatives' homes that have connectivity. There's at least one student, though, that we have been unable to reach. They have younger siblings at Westminster, and we are working with the Westminster principal with regards to that family.
Any other questions for Ms. Bukowski? Who's next? Mr. Nemlich? Oh, you're on mute. You're muted. There we go.
I just lost my notes. Our typical attendance is around 95%. Right now we're at 87, which is actually quite good, I think, considering we still have about 10 students who are struggling with connectivity. And we're pursuing the same thing, hotspots through the district. And families are resourceful. I have one student who takes his mother's phone and goes across to his grandmother's and is able to connect from there, which is pretty remarkable to see a 2nd grader do that. Let's see, we have a couple of families who basically have just shut down. This is just too overwhelming for them. I think Karen has one of the students in her building, and I have 2 from that same family. And it's just too much for them to deal with. We keep trying to make contact with them, but I don't have a whole lot of hope in terms of getting them connected. We did parade through town 2 weeks ago, which was a great success for everyone. Enjoyed by the kids, but also very much enjoyed by the staff. We have daily videos being posted to our Facebook pages, being created by staff members and students. But I will tell you that, it's a tiring day for teachers. They're focused to a screen 6 hours a day as they work with their whole class, and then small groups, and then one-on-one, and so on and so forth. So it's a long day. our staff meetings have become a bit of a relief point for them, actually. However, tomorrow's staff meeting, we'll all be attending a webinar on stress, self-regulation, and resilience. So we'll see if they like that change. Maybe they won't. I don't know. We have weekly grade level team meetings. So some grades are meeting with the district. And if you're not in a district level meeting, then you're in a school-based grade level meeting on Fridays, and those have been going very well. I meet with my counseling and wellness team every week. We've been working on plans to continue to really focus on wellness across the board, very much for the staff, as a matter of fact. So again, all this is getting posted to our 2 Facebook pages. And basically, you know, the staff is really up. The energy's good. I'm dropping into meetings and checking out how everybody's doing with the technology, and it's really it's impressive. It really is to watch you know, first graders and second graders online, interacting with each other, interacting with their teacher. It's a whole new world, and they're doing a great job. So I'm really pleased. I don't know what this will look like though when we get to, you know, early June, because it's still a long way off. But so far so good. Any questions? Priscilla.
Priscilla?
I just want to say I am impressed with all the things that you are doing. And Keith, if your teachers look tired like you do, I do. I applaud them for all they're doing. Really.
Yeah, no, they've been awesome. And the parents, mind you, they've been really busy too. So
Jason, you had your hand up?
Keith, somebody had mentioned on Facebook that there's an 8 a.m. buzzer that keeps going off at the central school. I don't know if
that's our clock system, our normal clock system.
Well, it's probably a good alarm clock for them then. I don't know.
I can see if the head of buildings can shut that down for right now. That's a good thing.
Somebody had mentioned it, and I just told them, you know, I asked for questions for tonight. So.
All right. No, that's a good one.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Mrs. Hazard?
Hello, everyone. So this week is actually Teacher Staff Appreciation Week. So be sure to give a shout out to all of our awesome teachers and staff members in our SU. I know I certainly have and will continue to do so throughout the rest of this week. Teachers continue to impress me with their online lessons. I too participate in daily morning meetings, and I look at planned lessons and student work completion regularly through Google Classroom. The Vermont Department of Public Service today installed a Wi-Fi hotspot at our school. So hopefully people that need that can come into our parking lot. Our Wi-Fi did not extend throughout our parking lot. So this is a great service to our school and also our community as well. We had Spirit Week last week, and the staff and I have put together a special video for this week, which we hope to share, I think, tomorrow. Next week, we're doing a challenge, and our aim is to do something special each week. And we too are planning an end of the year celebration for our school, all the students in our school, especially our 4th graders. I started something Zoom with the principals, just having like an open Zoom meeting. No one's joined me yet, but hopefully that will change. Just as a way to open up conversation with families. So I'll continue to do that. It's in line with what I intended to do for this coming year, which was a coffee and conversation with parents. So this is sort of a precursor to that in our online world that we're in now. So that's Mondays 1 to 2. We also started something, Be Your Best Self student awards, and recognizing students for their individual effort and work completion and participation. not all students are alike, not all people are alike, and our real goal is to celebrate all of our students and recognize all of them with a certificate and a coupon for a free ice cream cone from Dairy Joy by the end of the year. And a shout out to Dairy Joy, who gave us a nice discount for that. Our kindergarten family Zoom meeting, this is for our incoming kindergarten students and families, is scheduled for May 27th at 5:30, and that'll be like an introductory video chat, if you will, with new families, and then we'll certainly allow for individual meetings if families would like them thereafter. Meal packing and distribution is going very well. It's a smooth operation at Saxons River Elementary School. It sounds like it's smooth at the middle school and high school as well. The volunteers are fantastic. I was there today, and families are very appreciative of that service. Let's see, what else? Our attendance is pretty good, actually, with 92.86% participating. We do have, like Keith had mentioned, a few families that find this environment very challenging, and I empathize and sympathize with them because it is challenging for everyone, but everyone is trying to make the best of the situation, and we are accommodating families with what they need. So if a family isn't connected, getting them more paper and pencil work, for example. Let's see, what else? I think that's about it. Thank you. I am open for any questions you may have.
Priscilla, go ahead.
The other two of our principals commented on the number of pairs in the classroom versus one-on-ones that were being riffed. Do you have that information?
Yes, I can tell you that we had, let's see, one special ed one-to-one, one 504 one-to-one, and two classroom paras.
Thank you. It sounds like you're doing an awesome job with what you guys are doing.
We have, just so at Saxons River, we have very few special ed paras to begin with.
Okay. Yeah, I will be asking all of you to let me know how many other pairs you have, because we've talked about the RIF ones, but we don't know how many others. So maybe you could email me that information rather than going back.
Are you asking how many have not been riffed from our building?
Yeah, that's what I'd like from each one of the three buildings. I mean, if you have the information right now, that's fine, or you can email it to me.
One from Saxons River.
Do you have one left?
Mr. Nemlich, do you have that right handy or no?
I don't have it right handy. I can give you a ballpark, but
Okay. Email me too. Give me a ballpark now and then email me.
okay. Well, the ballpark would be about a dozen, but you need to remember that I house the intensive needs program for
Yes.
the district. So
Good
keep that in
point.
mind.
And Ms. Bukowski? Yep.
I, like Mr. Nemlich, I can give a ballpark figure. I do house two self-contained special ed classes within my building. I believe that, if I'm answering your question correctly, Priscilla, sorry, I just kind of drew a blank. I believe that that would leave me with approximately 6 or 7 paras in my building.
6 or 7 total pairs?
Correct.
Wow. With having the 2 classrooms, you still only have 6 or 7 left?
Right now, yes, but I do believe that some of the RIFT paras who were in the life skills program, that there will be, needed and necessary. So that's where it stands right now. But when we evaluate those needs, it will change.
Of course, of course. And also, I know of at least one para in the WNSU district that has told me they are retiring. So that will also probably impact your needs in the fall too, if others do. Thank you.
Any other questions for our principals? Business office, Mr. Pratt. Are you with us, Mr. Pratt?
Yep, I just had it on mute.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm gonna go over. I sent out the financial reports for this month to all of you earlier. So I hope you received those. But I'm gonna touch on a few areas of that. I'm just moving my desktop around a little bit. So I got an update from the business office in regards to the revenues. So the tuition payments from the Union Elementary was processed for $496,000. Will show in the May reports. We will do one more final invoice when we finalize the student count for the school year and excess cost revenues, which they don't have the final numbers just yet. Final education spending funds from the state was received on April 30th. So they are all posted, but they are currently all posted to the state ed funding revenue account that uses, excuse me, a certain code. I'm not going to share that code with you. And nothing was posted directly to the pre-K, as they did not break it out that way. So they break it out a little differently, I guess, in the system. Business office will probably need to do an entry to move $328,606.24 to the pre-K line in order for the budget amount to match the revenue received. The final education spending funds were received from the town, have not been received yet. We have a balance to collect in the amount of $1,095,4940. We split the payments into 4 quarters this year, and it has worked out, and the final payment is anticipated to be received in the next week or so. At this time, the business office has not received anything from the towns that indicates that they will not be making their final payments as anticipated. In regards to expenditures, the workers' compensation insurance expense is not posted yet, but has been encumbered to date. Normally, we are invoiced for those by now from Visbit, so we're making an inquiry about the invoicing of that. Let's see, anything else? Let's see, Board of Education special items is budgeted $159,899, but to date we have not spent anything against this line, and we only spent a little over $16,000 from this line. They're not sure if something was missing and was earmarked at a different line item, but they have a definite answer at this time, and will have to get back to me on checking into that further. In addition to that, let's see. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, if people have questions, if I don't have the answers, I will definitely get them and send them to you. So I'll leave it right now for any questions anyone might have.
Priscilla.
Yes, I'm not seeing any of the actual expenditures for Rockingham budgets that are separate from the WNHU, such as the principals and the teachers and the paras that are being paid and all of that stuff that I would think probably ought to be in there. I was kind of surprised to not see it. I also have some, so maybe you could address as to why and figure that out. Also, can you tell me what the Springfield Medical Care Systems Q3 $4,195 that was, it says FTE pre-K tuition, what that is? I don't know what that is. I've got some other questions too, but that's the first one.
As far as that second question, Priscilla, I don't. If you send it to me, I can absolutely get you an answer to that question. I wouldn't want to.
I don't get answers. You tell me you're going to give them to me the next day and I don't get them. All right. Beehive Health
Well,
Program.
if you send me the questions, I've always given you an answer back to the questions. So if you send me the question, I will ask the business office what that is for and get it back to you, like I just said. As far as the report that you see, this is the report that comes out in eFinance now. So it doesn't break it down in fine lines like it did before. So moving forward, this is the report that, we're all looking at, as different as it may look, this is the report that eFinance gives us now. So it doesn't break it down into as specific as we've seen it before. So if there are specific questions, like I said, you want more information on, I'd be more than happy to provide them to you. Just give them to me in an email.
Yeah, and I don't get answers when I email you. Once
Priscilla.
again,
Anybody else have any questions?
let's go on with the
No,
questions.
I want to respond to that.
On with the questions. I can show you where I have not.
I
If
would,
you,
I would like to,
Priscilla,
let's go on.
Priscilla.
Please, let's go
Well,
on.
this is not productive. I'm sorry, this is not productive.
Please, let's. Yes, let's go on.
can we, hang on, Priscilla, hang on, Priscilla, please, hang on. Can we not shout back and forth because nobody can hear anything that anybody is saying when multiple people are talking? So please.
Okay, I'm trying to ask
take
a
your turn.
question, George, I'm sorry. You cannot tell me you're saying that what the Springfield Medical Care Systems, on the assessment that's on there, what that is, you need to find that out, Mr. Pratt?
Yes, I do, because I'm not a business person and I want to find that out. I would be lying if I said, yes, I know what it is. So I want to give you an accurate answer without giving you something that's not true. So.
Okay, can we possibly maybe have the business manager, acting business manager come to the next meeting so that maybe she can answer some of our questions on that? We didn't get the reports until this afternoon, so I definitely need to look them over even more. I had a whole bunch of questions on the stuff that I did get at the end of last week. For example, I had that. I need to know VHI health program. I need to know what, I'm assuming the wood chips for the boiler are because we have a wood chip boiler. I need to know what, if the Grove Street charge is by Green Mountain Power. I need to know why we have board assessments from the WNESU, what that line item means. I looked at the superintendent assessments and often they're 11,806 around that figure, but one time they were 23,612 in our warrants. So I'm kind of concerned about that.
Hang on, Priscilla, can I interrupt you for a second?
So I will mail you those as well, but I wanted them on record as far as having asked at the board meeting here as well.
And when you email, can you just copy the rest of the board so that we all could be up to speed?
I will.
Go ahead, Jason.
So, Mr. Pratt, I just wanted to say thank you for sending these out. You know, we asked for them and you delivered. I appreciate that. And to me, that looks like a 10,000-foot view of the numbers. And then when we have questions, we just drill down to it. So I'm used to looking at stuff like this. So, you know, you need to have the information first. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other business office questions?
Just so you guys know, I got this report the same time I sent it out to you guys. So I've been looking over as much as possible. So it's not like I was hanging on to these reports and got them to you. I got them and sent them out within 5 minutes of me getting them to you.
And let me say, we appreciate you doing that, but we need to review them so that we can also ask the correct questions. Thank you.
Understandable. Thank you.
Moving on, WNESU board. Any updates there? Sounds like a no.
I don't know if there's anyone else who was at the last SU board meeting. I'm having a freeze right now exactly which meeting we talked about. Priscilla might be able to help.
I was there, Rick was there, and
Yeah, we were there.
Jason and George, everybody was there.
Nothing really to report, right?
Not that I can recall. Not off the top of my head, no.
As long as everybody's good, okay. Committees, no committee stuff? Any committee stuff?
No, the negotiations board side will be meeting this week just by themselves, not with the teachers.
All right. 7F was finance. I think we pretty well just hit that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Unfinished business for discussion. I think, Priscilla, you said you were going to dig out those board goals.
I'll look for
Oh, I'm
them.
sorry.
all.
I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Upcoming considerations for 2021. Anything to speak of there?
Considerations in regards to,
I guess it's a pretty broad statement.
yeah,
Pretty broad agenda item. I think I feel like you've covered things in a satisfactory manner. Unless anybody else has any questions, this will be another time to do it.
I think in general, the only thing I would add to that is that I think some of the projects that some of the schools around the SU had tentatively had on the docket for doing, I believe at this point are being pushed out and delayed further. Ms. Bukowski can chime in more on that, but I believe the auditorium project will be put on hold.
That is correct. We will not be pursuing the remodeling or, purchasing new chairs and carpeting, et cetera, of the BFMS auditorium at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, for doing that.
So I think that was the only other thing. That's probably why that was on the agenda. We just wanted to give an update in regards to anyone from the public attending tonight's meeting aware of that project with the price tag has been put on the back burner.
Excellent, thank you. 8B, how can Rockingham School Board, I apologize for the noise. My kids decide now is a good time to clean their room. Sorry. How can the Rockingham School Board influence the current education tax system? I know, Jason, you've gone to a meeting, you brought some stuff up there.
Yeah, I have nothing.
Is this something we just want to keep on here to keep as a
absolutely. I'm gonna
focal point?
as many meetings as I can to continue to bang the drum about that.
Okay.
It's only fair.
So no additional discussion there?
Nope.
Very good. Board goals, as we'd said, Priscilla's going to dig up the board goals, and we will keep them on a regular meeting agenda, it sounds like. Is that what the status was? Go ahead, Priscilla.
And I also asked Mr. Pratt if you have any information on that I might not have, because you had some things on the website and that, if you could send that to me as well so that I can add it to the stuff that I'm going back through in all of my notes to see what we did. That would really be helpful.
I've tried finding some stuff on the
Absolutely.
drive, and that is a mess. It's probably just accumulated that way over time, but it's
the Google Drive. The Google Drive is really tough to locate things.
Yeah.
Put it in a file, it could disappear. But I will go through those files, and anything I have on the goals, I know I have when I send out to the board.
Also, maybe. So this was when I first started on the board. This was a new item. What was the driver behind the board goals? Do you recall what the driver was? Was there a need to create the SIP team?
Well, I mean, I can't. I mean, every so often, we want the board. I think with myself coming in and new administration coming in, is that they wanted to revisit the goals and take a look at where they've gone, where they've been, where they are, and where they want to go. So I think it was an overall request by, I think everyone was on page. Let's try to update these goals, because at that time we were still trying to create the continuous improvement plan. So we kind of wanted to mesh everything together, and it also gave the administration direction too to be working with the board. So knowing that around budgets and stuff, how's the board going to support the budget and the programs? So it was just a matter of bringing us all on the same page in regards to that we're on in regards to what the plan is going to be and how we're going to pay for the education and what's expected from the board and from the administration. So.
Okay. Well, let's leave it on there, and we'll hash it out for next time, so we can get through it and get them off our agendas.
I have somebody sent me goals that were September 17th, 2019.
Yeah,
Is that the ones you're talking about?
I
pretty
believe that-
likely. The one that I got that Rick sent us last week or a couple weeks ago, the last two items were not complete. And
Would say in progress. That is correct, George. In progress.
It seems like it's one of those things that keeps getting shoved on the back burner, and honestly, I'm sick of looking at it on the agenda. So I'd like to either do it or move on, one or the other. Okay, so we'll look at that next time then. Any new business for discussion?
Yes, I have something.
Go ahead.
So I brought up at the last meeting that I wanted to put on the, I emailed Rick, sorry, that I wanted to put on the agenda about the board's stipend, what we get paid. I think I get paid $400 a year, which I didn't take this position to earn $1 or a penny. I took this position because I can't look my kids in the eyes and say, I'm going to do something about it and not do something about it. So that's my driver to want to be on the board, to try to improve. I said from the beginning, I support the teachers, and so what I want to do is I want to put to a vote. I would like to, all of us, not to earn a penny, because we should not be doing this in the time of what's going on in our state and our town with taxes and the burden. We just let go 40 people. So I know it's not very much, but I don't think any of us on this board should be collecting
They're
a dollar.
voted by the town.
Or, hold on, Priscilla. Or,
Priscilla, would you please hit mute until he's done, please?
or we take our money and put it in a scholarship and offer it to a senior at the end of when they graduate for like I don't know, we can decide, like, if they're going to go into trade school or something like that, or continue in education. But, there's 4 or 5 of us, 6 of us, whatever, $400, that's, a couple $1,000 to give to a senior. But, I don't want any money for doing this job. It's inconceivable for me to take any money when people are getting fired. So that's what I'd like to put to a vote.
Go ahead, Priscilla.
In the first place, it isn't up to us to vote this, because we can't vote this because the voters have voted this, and it's in that vote that it goes. You can do something about it, when at the end of the year, when it is going to a vote and that kind of thing. That would be appropriate. You can also turn yours back, Jason. There's no problem with doing that. I had considered turning mine back, and then I decided to use, when I got it, which I didn't get any in 2019. When I got it, I decided that I would do it for either some particular aspect of something for the school, where I could e-mark it or do that, which was of concern for me. And so that's another option that you could do. And giving your money towards a scholarship, that's a wonderful idea. I don't have any problem with that either, but you can't vote, you can't put this to a motion and a vote at this time, because it's an approved thing in the town thing that we voted at town meeting on March 1st or 2nd, whatever it was, 2nd, I guess. So that would be inappropriate for us to do that at this time. At the end of the year, when we're talking about what kind of stipends to vote and put in the budget, that's an appropriate time for you to bring that up.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm new at this. Just because it was voted in does not mean we need to spend it. And
no, and I just said you can give it back in any form that you want to give it back. That's your money to give it back.
What I'm saying is,
And next December, which is,
do you really need the $400 that bad? Let's do something good with it, all of us.
And in December, if you want to vote that the board members get none, you can do it at that time. You can make a motion at that time, because that's when it's put in for the next budget for the next people, for you to get some and get it then. If you want to give it back, that's great. That's no problem with that. And like I said, then you can put it to any place that you want to put it to, and any place that you want. You can also make a scholarship amount for the high school if that's what your desire is. That isn't even in our district, but I would rather take mine and give it to some area of the school that I particularly wanted to do that for. And that is something that the voters approved and gave to me for having served on the board. As Rick Holloway told me, he made about 57 cents an hour based on what he got. So, and none of us do this because of getting money, or he wouldn't have done it for that amount.
So do you think the voters today would vote for us to have any money with today, what's happening today with the pandemic?
I don't know what they would vote. I don't think you do either. I think they have approved this, and they would be very pleased to know that some of us are considering giving them money in different areas. For you to decide where my money is going, no, I don't want you to decide.
Wow.
So I'm pretty green here. Can a motion be made to this effect? I'm not sure if that sounds like Priscilla's saying one thing. Does anybody, Chris, could you advise a little bit? If motions can be made.
I think, the board,
When the budget is done.
the board can make a motion in regards to their own individual. It's, they're the ones receiving it, but, in the other, so, I mean, you have every right to make that motion. But you also have every right to, because some board members have, is just sign it back over to the SU office when it's given to you. So there's two ways you can go. I think most people in the past practices, what most people have done is that when they've gotten their stipend, they've just signed it back over to the SU and put it back in to the people. Or if you wanted to vote to make, to say like specific, like Jason Terry was talking about, put it in a scholarship, I think you could vote on that. But I would say you would probably want to have a more, conversation about that. But those are the two ways you could do it. One, you can just sign it back over to the SU, or two, you can make a motion, not for the next board agenda, to make a motion that it's on there because it's an action item. You'd have to have that on the agenda unless it's very time sensitive, when in this case it's not time sensitive. So I would say put it on the next agenda to have a discussion and possibly vote on what you want to do if you decide to give those stipends back.
Sounds good. I'd prefer to give a scholarship. No offense. If I give it back, I don't know where it's going to go. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank you, Jason. That's exactly what I was saying.
All right, so we're going to leave that on the agenda for next time for discussion. Is that what I'm hearing?
Thanks.
Possible action?
I would say put it on there for possible action discussion and
I
action.
actually, Jason, I just want to say I appreciate that, because for the first year, last year when I was here, I didn't even know that there was money until Nicole at the office said, hey, Georgie, you got money down here. And I think your point is perfectly accurate, that when nobody's doing this for the money, it's not really that much anyway. And I think it'd be a good, just good form to, show the voters that, we're willing to give it back in some way, shape, or form. Well,
That's why I want to join this thing, because I want to change how we do things. In Vermont, it's, the same old, this is how we've always done it. And, one step at a time, one day at a time, you got to change the culture one day at a time. So just my opinion.
All right, so I think we're all set with 9A. Is that correct? We can move on. Any discussion? Any more discussion? Okay. Appointments, if any. There was a couple appointments.
Yeah. I believe Karen and Laura both had appointments.
Yes.
Go ahead, Karen.
Excuse me. So as Mr. Pratt stated in his report, the position of the WNESU data coordinator was cut. Meredith Wade has held that position for at least the past 5 years, as long as I've been employed by WNESU. We did have a 7th grade science position open. Meredith has her science endorsement for middle school, and therefore she will be moving in, or is asking to be moved in to take the 7th grade science position at Bellows Falls Middle School. And I, for one, am thrilled to have her take this position.
Sorry, Ms. Bukowski, you were cutting out. You were cutting out there. Who was it? What was the name?
Meredith Wade. Sorry about
And
that.
she's already. And what does she currently do with us?
She was the WNESU data coordinator, and as
Okay, good.
stated, that position was cut, so this is a reassignment for her to 7th grade science at Bellows Falls Middle School. One that we welcome. I think she has a lot to offer and bring to our school.
We need to make a motion to accept. Is that right?
A motion to accept the Meredith Wade as a science teacher.
Any further discussion?
I think we should wait until Rick is back, so we could vote on it and get more background on Meredith.
No.
Any other discussion?
We should not. We agreed at the last meeting that we needed a science teacher for that position. And if it's the one that is being recommended as highly qualified and has been in the district, we should approve that. So the teacher doesn't have to wait, so that she's set and knows what she's doing.
Yeah, this is the one that,
members
last
here.
board meeting. Yeah, that's accurate. This is the science teacher that you guys voted on the last time. If it's a necessary position to go ahead and find a candidate. So just a point to clarification.
So we have a motion to hire Meredith Wade. Any other discussion?
Move the question, please.
I'm sorry?
Move the question.
Move the question.
Yeah, move the motion. In other words, vote on it.
Priscilla. Roll call. Priscilla, go ahead.
Yes.
Aye. Jason Terry.
No.
Jason Benson.
Yes.
So in this case, I have to be the tiebreaker?
No, it's not a tie. It's 1-2.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah. The motion passes. Any other appointments? There was another one, right?
Yes, Laura, Principal Laura Hazard has one.
Hi
Go
there
ahead, Ms.
again.
Hazard.
As you know, Kate Gravel, our beloved first grade teacher for many, many years, is retiring this year. And we did form a hiring committee, and I would like to recommend Jillian Rushton.
Where does Jillian Rushton, what is her background? What's her skill?
She is an elementary teacher. She's currently in a grad program. She works at North, but is originally from down our way. And she is highly qualified, super enthusiastic, has a lot of experience with programming that we currently have in place, and it was a unanimous decision by our hiring committee.
Priscilla, go ahead.
The only question I have on it is, I know we've been talking about whether we will need as many staff next year or not, and are we sure that we need to replace Kate Grabell's position, or can we move people around? Have we looked at numbers and that kind of thing? That would be my only question.
We only have one classroom teacher per grade.
Okay.
In our school. So we are in need of a first grade teacher. Yes.
Okay, and how about at Central? Is there any that could come from there or from the middle school? Or are those also absolutely in need? That's just want reassurance.
I do not have any excess staff members at the present time.
Thank you, Karen.
And it would also be an issue of certification. You know, they'd have to have
Right.
the elementary ed certification.
Right, primary, in fact, primary, right, for that grade. Okay,
I-
how about Keith?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Karen.
we have 10 classrooms, one of which will be open due to retirement, and I'll be moving somebody into that position from another role that's been eliminated. So, but the final paperwork hasn't been processed yet, so I haven't brought it to the board. But no, our classroom numbers are basically the same as Saxon's River. That's the way the system is designed to work. The only way we can actually, if you will, benefit financially by a reduction in enrollment is if we reconfigure the schools,
Meaning,
combine them instead of having, so Laura has one classroom at each grade level and I have two. And when somebody comes into Rockingham, we look at our numbers and figure out where they need to be. And we try to balance those classrooms in terms of size. We have other factors we put into play, but generally it's basically about that.
is there any possibility of, because you have two, that you could only need one? And
Well, so here's an example. So let's say there's 45 students in one grade level. How many
And you need
classrooms
two.
is that?
You
Is
need
that
two.
or is that three?
Well, you need a minimum of two at your
Yeah.
school if that's what
Right,
you've got.
right.
But I don't know how that balances out with Saxon's River was all I
No,
was
no, what I'm
asking.
saying is if we have 45 across Rockingham for one grade level,
Well, you'd need three.
so we're dividing it into three bundles basically.
Right.
So
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Does that make
And does
sense?
that hold pretty well true for all of your grades? One
Yeah.
K through 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. That was the information I wanted before saying that I therefore I move to approve the hire.
Motion on the floor. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, I have.
Go ahead, Jason.
So I'm not against hiring anyone. You guys, you teachers, your principals are the administrators of that school. You guys know what you're doing. That's your job. My job on this board is to talk about finances and making sure we're making good financial decisions. I just really want to make sure, you know,
asked the question,
tax is going up.
Tim.
I'll wait, Priscilla.
I'm sorry, it went off mute. I had muted it. I apologize. I had muted it.
I'm sure Miss Wade is a lovely person. I don't know her. I know that I have been to all of the schools recently. I think it's irresponsible for us board members to say, to make decisions on the school if we don't know what's going on in the schools. I have children in all of the grades. I've had children in all the grades. I've been through all the schools. I've been through all the schools recently. So I have a very good pulse of what's going on with the schools. If you guys think you need someone and you guys have done the vetting process and the interview process, I just want to make sure that just because the budget says you have to have one, we really take a look at that, because it's my money that you're spending. If you live in this town, then it's your money too. If you don't just put the person on there, please. That's all I'm asking.
I like the idea that folks are being retasked from positions that are being removed. So I can appreciate that for sure. So any other discussion? Motion on the floor. Put it to a vote. Priscilla,
Aye.
Jason Terry,
Aye.
Jason Benson.
Aye.
There it is. Welcome, Jillian.
Thank you.
Director's comments. Any closing words? Jason, go ahead.
I feel like I'm talking a lot today. So here's the thing, and with the collapse of our economy, with what's going on in our town and what's going on in our state, I'd like to put on the agenda for next month. This is where I was told that it should go. I would like all administrators, Mr. Pratt, you've taken a beating in social media for your increase. And you know how I feel about that. I don't care what you make, as long as you're producing results. And the same goes for everyone else. I would like anyone, administrator-wise, who has been voted in to receive an increase through the budget, principal, vice principal, assistant principal, to consider foregoing your pay increase, especially with almost, the 40 plus people who are currently unemployed. I think it would be a good faith gesture on your part. And I think that's, the town needs a win. We need a win. We cannot continue to burden on the taxpayer. And for next month, if we could have, available, I asked for, and you said, Mr. Pratt, you said you're going to get them to me. I'm sure you haven't forgotten. Numbers of students, pairs, and teachers going back a few years, every 10 years, just so we can kind of look at teacher to student ratio and what it was in the 80s and 90s, 2000s compared to what it is now. My feeling and my gut says you're going to have dwindling enrollment and taxes continuing to go up. So we need that baseline of customers, students who are customers, so that we can know where our money should be going. And another question that was brought up to me was, what is a restorative practice? The person who runs restorative practice, I've been hearing a lot of what does that person do? And so I just wanted to know what that person does. And a lot of people who are afraid to speak up think that person should not be, they don't know what they do, so they don't know why to get paid. And then really want to know, for principals and things like that, I really want you guys are doing a good job. It's tough. It's tough out there right now. So I just really want to make sure you guys know what your numbers are, at all times, like how many people you got working for you, how many paras, you should have those numbers, like, all the time. So that's it. But the first one there, I really want you to consider foregoing your pay increase as an administrator. I think it's the right thing to do. I'm willing to give up my $400. So.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, so
Okay, Joyce.
got those two. Hang on real quick. I got those two for agenda items, and then that was I wanted to clarify. You wanted numbers of teachers, students, paras, etc. 10-year blocks going backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then restorative practices. What do they do? I guess that's a question that could be answered right now, right, Chris?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hang on, Priscilla.
So just real quick, Jason, can you email me the information that my administrative assistant has sent you in regards to that data? If not, I can set up a time and I can go through the actual trends of the state and the county and stuff. It's pretty fascinating because as we all know, the enrollment keeps going down, but the number of teachers and stuff keep going up and the budgets keep going up. So yeah, you're right on cue with the questions that you're asking. In regard to restorative practices, the restorative practices position is paid 100% through grants. And that position there is really about working with the homeless, the any kind of issues that may be going on in school, social emotional issues. That's kind of like that department there. They work with counselors. They work on keeping kids in school rather than suspending them, bringing them together to talk about how they can move forward. So it's more of like a social service kind of position within the school that works. Like, for instance, this year is the first year we've had it, and they've worked with assisting in training all the teachers in restorative practices, meaning, just pretty much how do we have kids make better decisions, and when they make bad decisions, giving them the skills to be productive members of society and not making the wrong decisions that are going to get them in further trouble. It's about changing behaviors and creating positive one and good habits and stuff. And that position is paid 100% through the Consolidated Federal Funds grant. So I hope that answers your question.
So it's kind of like changing the culture?
Yeah, it's part of that. Yeah, changing the culture of behaviors in the school.
Kind of like what we're trying to do.
Pretty much for ourselves. I know for myself.
Priscilla, you had your hand up.
Yeah, two things. In response to Jason Terry's request for all that information, you might want to add in the number of administrators too, in like the special ed areas and at the central office, so that there's a trend, so you can see that trend as well. And because of wanting to see more in-depth expense and revenue reports, maybe more information, maybe even a tutorial could happen for the school board members, so that we were able to look at that a little easier.
Yeah, I think we all, Priscilla, I agree. I think we're all going to need that tutorial in regards to how to look at these new reports and exactly what the reports we can get. What do we want to give to the board so they're getting what they're looking for in regards to the new e-finance program? Because right now they look totally different than they used to. So I'm looking into that to see if we can get some training for the boards and myself.
Thank you, because that really is frustrating for me, and I think that's part of the problem with my feeling that I don't get information. So if I could have more on how to do it, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Still on director's comments. Anybody else have any comments before we go?
I'd like to give one more, that I really appreciate our principals and all they're doing. I could see Keith, I couldn't see Karen and Laura, but I know how tired he looks. So I'm sure they're probably at that same point. And the things they have reported on and the things that they are doing are just so amazing.
Anybody else? Jensen?
Nope, nothing here.
Very good. Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
So to my first comment, not to beat a dead horse. So that be on next meeting's agenda, and then what do we do? Do we vote on it? Do we need, does Mr. Pratt get in touch with the administrators and say, hey, look, this is what's in front of us? How does that work?
I think the next step, Jason, is for me and my principals can come together and discuss it. And then I think it's something that you might want to, it might fall under executive session in regards to I don't know, it might, not knowing where everyone's coming from. So I would say keep it on the agenda, and I think be fluid with it in regards to, the board, wants answers, and we'll do the best we can to provide that for you based on a meeting that we'll have.
Thank you.
Yep.
Very good. I have no further comments. Agenda items, any additional agenda items other than previously mentioned for next time? That looks like a no. Date of next board meeting is May 18th, 5:30. If there's nothing else, we will call this meeting adjourned.